like birth.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so I'm here with Kristen Sword, our special needs, or special need. What's your title? Yeah.
With the special education department for Odyssey.
Cool. And you kind of lead the department, right? Like you're.
Yes, that would be
Yeah,
me.
you're the head. You're the head cheese, right? The one everyone goes to for questions.
Okay, so number one, is the student's classifications identified in the student cumulative information folder or the high school diploma? No, they are not. Okay, so neither in the folder that is in the front office nor on a diploma or transcript do we identify that a child was ever.
So where's the IEP or
An
504 designation? Is it just in our file?
It is, so I have 2 filing cabinets in here, and their paperwork is kept in the special education department.
Right.
An IEP technically ends at graduation.
Right.
And it's up to a student if they at any time when they go to college or anything else, if they want to volunteer that information. That's totally and completely up to them. They don't have to. Okay. On some diplomas, say if it was a private placement, a D, their classes are coded differently. So say Learning Skills 101, okay?
Right.
And that can identify a separate, like a private placement area versus a traditional public school, charter school.
Yeah.
Okay. 2, is there a difference between GPA for special education student and a regular student? No, there is not. Okay, we do not do that at this school. So a special education student that is on a modified curriculum is still ranked in our school as receiving the same grades.
You say that with some apprehension. What would it?
We
what is
are
that from?
speaking with higher up than me about changing that.
Okay.
It's a misconception. So say I have a student that is at a 4th grade level and she's receiving 4th grade curriculum.
Yeah.
Is it fair to then say that she graduated from our charter school with an Algebra 2 ability level?
Yeah.
It's not. It's deceptive. Okay.
Yeah.
Then she could then take, because our GPA is also the same,
Right.
go down and go into a college setting and say, here. And our local community colleges have now waived some of the placement tests
Right.
if your GPA is high enough.
Okay.
So she could literally, or he could go into the school, say, here are my transcripts,
Right.
here's my GPA, and be unable to really do those classes well.
Yeah,
without
it's
a
not setting
placement
them
test.
up for success because they don't have the base to be successful.
So we are
there.
talking about possibly recoding some of our classes,
Mhm.
like we do for credit recovery,
Right.
to have a teacher run a separate grade book for those children that do receive that.
Yeah.
Out of our caseload, that's only 4. It's not a massive amount of students on our end,
Right.
but for those cases, that would be more accurate.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at now.
Cool.
Okay. How effective is this school in identifying students with less severe learning disabilities who need special services to succeed in school? Well, that would depend on how you look at it, which grade level. Are you talking high school?
High school. Yeah, we're gonna say just high school.
High school for the most part. By the time kids get here, they've either been identified or they're not, unless there is traumatic brain injury, a life-altering event. Okay,
Right.
They've already been up through child find, child study, for
Yeah.
years and years and years. So unless it's something that has really happened recently, 9 times out of 10 they're already identified, or they have learned the coping skills to get around it. So we don't see as much of it up here.
Yeah.
Okay, if you have dyslexia, you know what I mean? By now, you've done a lot of what you can to get around it to try and access the curriculum. It's really not difficult, but more unusual to pinpoint kids at this age.
And that's where that 45-day screening comes into place, and it's generally exchange students or new kids.
Or new to us.
New to us.
Right.
Yep. Okay.
Mhm. And even then, we have to identify whether this was a need. So say we get a new student, and we find out that the student came from another country and has been to 5 or 6 schools. Is that special education or is that something else?
Right.
So that's why 45 days come in.
Right.
Okay, to what extent are juvenile special educations protected under the law from arrest, prosecution for illegal offenses on the school campus? They're not. Okay, if they have the ability to know right from wrong, they are still held to the same standards as anyone else. The only time their disability may come into play is if we have to do like a manifest
Right.
for alternate placement for safety of others.
Yeah.
So say a student comes and threatens, brings a weapon, something, we still cannot expel them.
Mm-hmm.
If we decide that that's a safety issue, it would be our responsibility to educate them in a safer environment, whether that's our private placement, sometimes it's in the home, but we do still, as long as it is under their disability for behavior.
Right.
If it's not, we can't.
Is that outlined in their IEP or anyway,
that's an IDEA.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because everyone is designed is
different, yeah.
FAPE applies to everyone, free, accessible.
Yeah.
Everyone gets FAPE.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter whether they're, we decide, well, I'm sorry, they're not safe here. It doesn't mean they don't have a right to education.
Right.
So they have to be provided that in whatever setting is the safest for them.
Right.
Okay.
That was the one I thought that you'd be like, well, you tell me.
Well, and it's really the safety of the student or others.
Right.
We have the right, just like any other student, say if they come to school with a device that we immediately ask them to leave for. Okay, so they brought a vaping device or something.
Right.
If it's not under their disability, yes, they're expelled just like everyone else. They don't get a free pass.
Right.
It's not. But in those very random instances that say because of their disability they may not know as much right from wrong, that's when we would hold the manifest. That's where we would discuss that with others and go from there. Okay.
So those were the questions that the instructor wrote, and I came up with the other five.
Good questions. What information and services are available for teachers on teaching methods and learning styles for mainstream special education students?
So no, because that was an instructor one. 6 or 10.
You're like after that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Here?
Yeah.
Most teachers have a set learning style.
Mm-hmm.
It's how they teach. It's how they look at the world, how they do things. Some students have their own set learning style. For us, this year, we tended to place those students with teachers that would better fit their learning style.
That's awesome.
It went remarkably well this year. So they were literally handpicked to go to each teacher.
Right.
Learning how to do things is hard, and especially if you get a random and odd disability, that's where usually teachers come to me and say, how do I do this? How do I scale this? How do I modify this? It would be great to have some more trainings of this is the difference between an accommodation and a modification, because say that child that's at a 4th or 5th grade level. One of the things we can do is just exclude the assignment, and I have a lot of teachers that are going, what? You can just take that out? Yes, you don't have to assess them on that skill if it's not pertinent or relevant. You can take that out.
Right, like it's an ATL skill, for example, right?
Right now we've got geometries in a trig unit.
Yeah.
Trig at 4th or 5th grade ability level.
Yeah.
You can scale it down, absolutely, but only so far. And if it doesn't go well, how is that fair to assess the student at a trig level when they're So yes, you can excuse the assignment and give an alternate.
Yeah.
Instead of doing that, I want to assess you here.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Yeah, and I think that you and I have a different advantage being the parents, that
children.
we really understand the difference between an accommodation and a modification. But I agree with you. I think that probably 80% of the staff doesn't really know the difference.
Mm-hmm. And so they struggle, they want to say, well, I really had to modify this curriculum way down for that student. And then you have that discussion of going, that's not what that student needs. That student needs an accommodation to access that, not the curriculum modified. Because when you do that, that's like saying, I have 10 children that I'm going to claim on my taxes when you only have 1.
Yeah.
We can do a whole lot within the system, but giving them things that they don't need without a discussion at that level, if you're really modifying curriculum, then that's a team meeting. We have to meet and discuss why is this now a need.
Right. No, that's where that trigonometry thing would really come into effect. Okay, this is a challenging one, but
and how are we going to meet this challenge? How are we going to meet this need better?
I love that you teamed them up with the teachers. That's fantastic. I think that's great.
It was so easy this year. It was much easier overall. I think a lot of We have different students' needs. We have, gifted students. We have higher level learning students. We have, we have lecture-based teachers. Some students with special needs don't do as well in a lecture-based. They need more hands-on.
Yeah.
So, it's just easier to match the learning styles to make it more fluid in the classroom. So it just worked. Okay. What things would I change at the school to better accommodate the special needs population? Right now we've been struggling. So the model is inclusion.
Yeah.
And we do the inclusion. And like I said, we're really, in some areas we're struggling to meet that. I have a student that's at a second or third grade reading level, and he literally has to pass algebra 2 to graduate. How do we include those students in a curriculum that is very difficult, like chemistry?
Yeah.
You can't scale chemistry down to the bone, still call it chemistry, and have a lot of these students participate fully in class because it's just very difficult for them to comprehend. So we implemented the learning labs this year up at the high school level. To good and bad, I think, because it's still not as inclusion. And I don't know if you can still even meet all those individual needs. It's really tough. So if you're, you have such a difference in the classroom of, IQs of 130 who didn't do DP,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? In a classroom with maybe an individual with an IQ of 72.
Yeah.
It's hard for them to understand each other. It's hard to them, to relate to each other, and it's not fair to group all the kids together with like-mindedness. You need to go at least one level up around.
Right.
So it's kind of hard. It makes it really tough for teachers to meet all that type of need.
So what would you change?
It's really tough because we
In a
are
perfect,
a college.
in
a perfect world,
yes.
We are a college prep school.
Yeah.
I think our model should be preparing children for college to meet the needs of a student with a severely low IQ or struggling. I think that's really tough.
Yeah.
We've talked about having like level 101 classes, but is that still college prep?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not everyone's going to do DP, not everyone's going to do honors, but then do we take away from our niche of college prep
Yeah.
by, accommodating down lower than, I don't know. I know we do it for the individual, but should we do it as a whole?
Yeah.
It's a struggle.
And that's something I personally struggle with too, and that's what I've been bringing to the admin is the CTE stuff, and that's why I'm trying to offer an alternative, because let's be perfectly honest, not every kid is bound for college.
No,
even
but should
at a
that
college
be our
school.
niche?
So what do we do with those kids? They're here.
They're here currently, but there are other charter schools, to me, more than public schools.
Yeah.
Are there for specialized learning in different areas.
Yeah.
So you take, we're trying to grab that college prep because gifted programs are few and far between.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're trying to hit that upper level.
Yeah.
Does it take away from what we're trying to do by modifying that initial dream?
Yeah.
I think it does. Are there other choices? Yes. If we were the only choice, or if there was not public education, or if there was, traditional schools, what are they offering? Traditional learning. Should they change their model and move off of that to accommodate another portion of the population? I don't know. That one's a really rough one for me to think about.
Yeah.
When they're here, we do our best to help them to access the curriculum, and we try and give them curriculum. But I don't know if we should lower our curriculum or our standards.
Well, it's not a matter of lowering the curriculum, it's just offering them other options.
If we gave a lower standard of, so say instead of, all of our sciences are lab-based.
Yeah.
Okay, so instead of biology, cellular biology, which is really tough and offered in college.
Yeah.
Like, do we give them basic life life biology.
We are adding a different science class next year
Mm-hmm.
that is not math-based, which I think is going to benefit a
Which
lot
one
of
are we
students.
doing?
Physical science, I think it's...
Which is more of a lower level science. So we're...
But still not math. All of our sciences currently are math-based. There's a big math component to those classes. And our kids wired to do math.
For college prep.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, it's
Yeah.
really hard to look at it both ways.
Yeah.
If we just touted ourselves as so-and-so charter school,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? That's different. But we're saying we're preparing kids for college.
Yeah.
That's like the Montessori school not doing Montessori.
Yeah.
That's what they are. That's their
Yeah.
mission. That's their goal. So I don't know. I kind of go both ways.
Yeah. There are a ton of statistics that support that kids are involved in career and technical education programs
Mhm.
are actually more prepared for college.
Yes.
So there's an argument for that as well, to include that vocational, because they're also gaining a life skill that
Mhm.
they can take to pay for college if they want to, and they're leaving high school either with college credit already, because you can. It's
But
almost
we
like
can't do that here.
We are.
When are we doing dual enrollment? Because
With the CTE stuff, that's what I'm bringing.
we can. Okay. Because
So-
we can't with anything else.
Right, the diploma program, but they can earn college credit through the diploma program. But
After
it's
they
not-
take the test.
After they take the test.
But not concurrent like AP.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the digital photography will be at some point a dual enrollment class program. So they're gonna
How
leave.
are they going to get through the funding?
Well, CTE. So that's where that Perkins grant I was talking about.
Right.
That's going to.
Pay the school back for losing the funds for the concurrent enrollment.
Right.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
I know, and that's originally why I thought we had partnered up with Westmec, because that's what they do for
And
like Saddle Mountain.
that's the
and
next step. That's the next step.
How are we going to put that on our campus though? With
Um,
the lovely amounts of space we have.
Digital. So
That one's fine, but you know
we've
what I mean?
identified 5 classes we currently already teach that fall under the CT umbrella.
Okay.
So it's a matter of, I spent a year and a half aligning the curriculum with the CTE standards and the state standards and the IB standards,
with which we already offer.
that was a mountain of itself. And then halfway through they changed the standards. That was,
Of course.
but then there's 8 criterion that the state have. So over the
Okay.
course of that time, they would come in and they're checking
Make
the
sure
facilities, they're checking
right.
our computers, doing a 1-to-1 ratio in the classroom for computers, all of these things.
Right.
So they actually came out 3 times and we sat
And
down
verified.
and talked. Yeah.
Right.
And so we finally got a verification for that. So next Thursday, I'm going to Prescott to go through the new CTE director training
Okay.
to apply for the grant. Once we have that paperwork done, I'm able to go to Westmec now and be like, hey, we're an official CTE program recognized by
Okay.
the state. We want to join your career and technical education district. Because right now, when we send a kid to Westmec,
Mhm.
we don't get anything
No.
other than, hey, it's down the street,
Mhm.
which is amazing.
Yes and no, because here's another difficulty. So some of my children, right? It's an application. It's pulled through the entire area.
Right.
So if there's only 20 welding positions,
Yeah.
it's a pretty strong chance if mine are not as highly performing as the child from Buckeye, they won't be pulled for that.
Right.
And we can't offer it because
Yeah.
we don't have the facilities.
Right. And we never will. Megan
we never
Holly
will.
had said straight up, no.
We don't have the room.
none
We
of
don't
that
have
kind
the
of stuff.
ability.
Yeah.
We can't put in a commercial kitchen.
Yeah.
The expense would be just phenomenally high.
Yeah.
So it's like, then what do we do with these kids? They didn't make it at Westmec.
Right.
That's not their area that they want to wander into, say, but this is what we have.
Yeah. For all the other kids though, right now we send to Westmec, we don't get any benefit from that.
Mhm.
By joining that CTED, we will retain our ADM
Okay.
and get a 25% kicker on top of it from Westmec.
That's nice. That's a good deal.
So, for example, Saddle Mountain, Tonopah Valley,
Mhm.
they get $180,000 a year from Westmec.
Yeah, for their 600 students?
Yeah.
I mean, really.
And they only have 5 CT programs in their school. That's it.
Yeah, well, they had CAD. I'm trying to remember what they had. Mark was initially supposed to have gone there
Yeah.
because that's my
Well,
home district.
Mike Bailey, he's the CT director over there.
Mhm.
He's my best friend.
Yeah.
So he's been a very
So what else are they
good
doing
mentor.
up there? 'Cause
So they have
just-
ag science.
Okay.
They have construction technologies. They have robotics and web applications.
I wish we could put
graphic
robotics
design.
in as a class.
And business. So those are
In
the
business.
5.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
How would you define the term special populations? every human on the planet is part of a special population, whether it's cultural, financial, you name it, every single one is a special population. For schools, it's anything that impacts their learning.
Okay. I love
For
that.
me, you know what I mean? Anything that impacts their learning. Right now, I currently have an ELL student. He speaks a language that is not common, and he's, struggling to access the curriculum because he just doesn't speak English.
Right.
Our foreign exchange students at least come over with some basis
Mm-hmm.
because that's part of the requirement. But we don't have a huge ELL population, but that's a struggle. It's a struggle to access the curriculum.
Okay. What's the language? I'm curious.
Oh, I can't even pronounce it correctly. It's a Philippine,
Okay.
Tagalog, Taglog.
Yeah, I've heard that term before.
Mm-hmm. I do have another student that his parents actually speak that, so that's kind of odd. I've got like two, but they're not in the same class.
Yeah. So like on like a YouTube video, you can't turn on subtitles for that language.
Mm-mm.
So that makes
Doesn't
it
exist.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
It's not translated on his computer. It's it's kind of a little rough one for this kiddo.
So if we were to offer vocational classes, career and technical CTE classes on campus, what do you think? What class would best serve our special needs community?
They tend to like hands-on more than anything else. Then they like structure. You know what I mean? So a lot of kids with special needs like a routine, like knowing what they're doing every day, and they don't like a whole lot of surprises. So yeah, the welding, not so much cooking, but I have one student that she wants to become a hairdresser. Okay. I have another one that auto mechanics. That's a big one with a lot of our kiddos. Working with hands, working on engines, they tend to see things a different way.
Right.
We got one that art's directions. That's where his brain goes to for the default.
How it organizes things, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So,
which we have art, so that's...
We do have art. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of kids that are into photo so far.
Do you think, now, admittedly, I've made that class very rigorous.
No,
I think it's just reputation-wise, it's too hard.
It's this. Anybody, at this point, just about anybody can take a really good picture. Mm-hmm. We have it in the palm of our hand. I don't think they look at it as a career as much anymore. That tends to be on the D cell. You know what I mean? Weddings, special events, but standard party, family pictures are still kind of the big thing. But I don't know. Is it as big a field as it used to be?
It's definitely a lot more accessible. Mm-hmm. Like in the past, only a small group could actually afford the equipment and understand how to use it. Mm-hmm. And you would have to go to somewhere to get that knowledge. Right. And then spend a lot of time and money crafting your skill. Nowadays, it's a YouTube video. Right. And you can go buy what's called a prosumer camera from Sam's Club for $600. That includes a bag, 2 lenses, and so the average person can easily get into it. Mm-hmm. It's making money at it. It's where it becomes a problem. So you got to find your niche, what you're good at, what you like, what you're passionate about, and then you got to chase that down. So like sports volume photography, I make a lot of money doing that. Yes. But like it didn't happen overnight.
No, and I wonder how long it'll be before like schools keep it in-house still.
We do essentially we're doing
it
in-house.
In-house. You know what I mean? So is that going to remain a business someone can get into, or are they just gonna go more? I don't know, so it's kind of.
But like we do a lot of gymnastics, Mr. Bates and I found
karate, all those.
Those are still great needs for that. Because what happens is they have somebody's mom will do it and they go, these are awful. These are awful pictures. They don't, can't even Photoshop. They don't them into something. They don't have the lighting equipment and the understanding of how to use that stuff. Granted, when they're outside, they take a beautiful picture, but like. If it's something studio, else. So anyway, there is a need for that, but like I do like I agree with you. Like cell phones, they take amazing photographs. Like they're
for the everyday. You know what I mean? For the everyday person that just wants to do the birthday party, that wants to. You know what I mean? It's not so much.
And that's really the big focus of the photography class is we can all take a picture. No, I'm going to teach you how to make a picture with intention.
Yeah.
And that's the difference.
Dave takes good pictures still. He's still the best one in the family. He really is. Okay.
Number 8.
What career? Section
yeah.
3 of ADA states that individual meets the requirement as having such an impairment if the individual established that he or she has been subjected to an action prohibited under this chapter because of an act. Okay.
Perceived.
Anything that affects their academic.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Is it perceived by the individual or by a professional?
Could be both. Okay, so under IDEA, which is what I am not so much under ADA, but I am under the 13 categories.
Right.
Okay, if I can see a need under these defined 13 categories and you have a discrepancy and you meet this criteria, special education.
Right.
Okay? Under ADA, say you have someone with crippling anxiety, but she doesn't tell anybody.
Right.
Is it perceived by that individual? Yes. Will it impact their academic? Yes. Does it need to be met? Yes. Or something's going to go horribly, terribly wrong.
Right.
You know. So, but I think it's more along the lines of I can't just have a teacher come and say, well, you know, so-and-so's just awful and I have troubles every day. But then I talk to 7 other teachers and they don't have that issue.
Right.
So is it that one individual's perception or with this person?
Yeah.
Yes, usually it is. That's why a lot of things are a team and not a one.
Right. It just really bothered me when I saw the perceived, because you see these guys
Well, and that's
wearing a neck brace for
Right.
6 years. It's like, all right,
Right.
that's a temporary thing, but it
And
is
how
not.
many-
But to
Right.
this guy, it is his disability. But
say we have a student that was suffered sexual abuse as a child and is not telling anyone.
Yeah.
Is that her perception? Yes. You know, so I think perceived can go, but in our world, it has to show that it impacts them here.
yeah,
So I think, okay, and then your last one, special populations. Okay. A lot of this is interesting because, to me, all these criteria is not something that is ever going to be solved in the school setting.
yeah,
Okay, a lot of it gets dropped into the school setting as we are the ones to address this need, but poverty, okay? So, expectant mother does not have adequate nutrition. Her child isn't even in school yet. That is not something the school, that's a a state-funded issue. That's getting that mother, whatever she needs, and the education she needs, and that's always the piece that I think is missing. But that child, by the time they come to us, the dendrites may not have formed. Now we're at developmental delay.
yeah,
So then it becomes, but now it's really, really difficult to make up for that time,
right,
if not impossible.
yeah,
So there are plenty of Title I schools that give out free meals. There's clothing drives. There's all that the school has become.
yeah,
Kind of, because it's most centrally located, blah, blah, blah. But it's been proven over time, over and over and over again, we don't have the funds, the resources, or the tools to do that.
yeah,
So, I think the definition, like homeless individuals, sometimes we don't even know they're homeless.
Well,
We,
with this new legislation, they are requiring every school to do a local needs assessment, and essentially, it's their version of it's awful. Like, no average person could ever look at that and be able to answer those questions.
right,
So I put it in lay terms and created a form, and
right,
so that's one of the things I have to do is conduct a needs assessment. And what I find interesting is it's self-reporting.
right, which,
It's all based on that. So either I think most people are either ignorant to their do I fit this
too proud.
criterion, or too proud, and they don't want to be labeled, right?
Exactly. Especially if you're talking about a culture that is not fears.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Asian, like an Asian-based culture.
Mm-hmm.
That is not going to happen. It's a we, not a me.
Yeah.
they're not going to report that they need
Right.
any type of help. That would not go well. You
Yeah.
know, the Hispanic community tends to lean on each other, very strong, family oriented. They would go to their family before they would come to us.
Right. And well, like the
Foster care kids, I mean, once they're adopted, the
Yeah.
state steps out of that.
Yeah. Well, the armed forces thing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how do you provide? I have an idea in my head of how I would do it, but I'm like, it's not really a big deal. That seems like a common sense thing you do for everyone.
Right.
You know, essentially, and that's just aligning curriculum with national standards, so no matter where they went. So if the
But what if
parent
they're
got
overseas?
if they got
Mm-hmm.
stationed somewhere else, that they could step into a curriculum that is similarly based. That's the only thing I can think of how you could serve a military family.
Better. There's also things I think we could do, but it's at that point of how many resources do you have?
Right.
You know, so say we identify a child that's homeless.
Right.
Can we provide them a home?
They
No.
They want us to provide curriculum-wise, though, a way to accommodate them.
So we just tagged them and labeled them.
Right. So that I'm struggling. I'm not the only one. The whole CTE community is like just throwing their hands in the air. Like, what am I supposed to do with this?
And I'm sorry, the family's homeless, but what is the individual supposed to do about that if they're 5,
Right.
6?
Right.
They can't work. They can't apply for benefits.
They're at the mercy of mom and dad.
Of mom and dad who are not educating.
Right.
Do they have access to books?
Right.
Can they get to the library?
Yeah.
No tech, no internet. And then we're trying to do all of that in the space of 7 hours
Right.
to make the difference.
Yeah. We get you for a third of the day, and the rest of the time you're to your own.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah. This is.
I know. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's the challenge.
It is a challenge.
So.
Trying
I really appreciate your time.
Oh,
Like,
you're
this
very
is
welcome.
great.
I hope so.
Well, I picked up a few things, so this will be good. And then I'll just not get to transcribe all this.
Lucky you.
Do you have any questions for me?
No, not offhand. You know what I mean? I'm percolating in my head, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm in my 8th year here. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that you're just like, you kind of know how it goes and how it tends to roll, and you just roll with it. Or
What, at the end of the year will it be 8, or at the end of the year will it be 9?
I'm in my 8th year now.
So it'll be 9 at the end of the year. Wow. That'll be
Yeah.
8 for me.
Yeah, since the building was built, I was here for sure.
Yeah, I came in the year after, I think, 2012. So you were here 2011.
Yeah, Quigs and I came in at the same time. So, yeah.
Yep. So you've really seen a lot of the change, and
We always try. I mean, I think at this point with the population explosion of Buckeye,
mm-hmm.
and I truly do believe, and this is one of those things that we're being funneled, a lot of special education students from the district,
Yeah.
which is making our numbers higher than they should be. On average, it shouldn't be 8% of your population. Okay,
Right.
you should not have more than 8% of your population on an IEP. An
Mhm.
IEP is the last resort, bar none.
Yeah.
You know, after you've tried
Yeah.
everything else, this is where we're at.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be more than 8%. Right now, one of our elementaries is running almost 17.
Yeah. My first year here I was
Drowning in?
yeah,
Yes.
being one of the only electives at the time.
Mm-hmm. And
it-
how do you accommodate all those different needs?
I had 180 students that year, and I had 60 IEPs.
Too many.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that much.
No, it was
Right
overwhelming.
now, we're doing much better. We're down to a caseload, honestly, on campus. I'm down to 20 from a caseload of 45.
Down to 20.
Mm-hmm. On
That's good.
campus.
Well, it's
Let's
heading
meet
in the
their
right
needs.
Right. Very cool.
But next year, it'll be a caseload of 60 again.